Ancient ship ignored for years, until it contacted him with a shocking message. Elias Ward had seen a lot in his life, but nothing like this. Floating silently at the edge of the Andros sector was a ship that everyone else had forgotten. For decades, the galactic authorities had marked it as inactive, worthless, and impossible to repair. Aliens of all kinds had passed by it, sneering, scanning briefly, then moving on. Its hull was scratched, worn, and layered with centuries of cosmic dust. To everyone else, it was just junk drifting in space. But Elias had a different feeling. There was something about the ship that drew him in, a subtle hum in the sensors, an energy signature that didn't make sense. He had been assigned to the station near the ship, supposedly just to observe, run diagnostics, and report any changes. It was a job no one wanted, which was perfect for someone like him. Elias was human, and humans in most of the galaxy were considered curious, but fragile. Stronger species laughed at them. Aliens with armored shells, wings, or psychic abilities often dismissed humans as weak, slow, or unremarkable. But humans had something no other species did. They adapted. They improvised. They survived. And Elias Ward, working in the shadow of galactic fleets and alien geniuses, had always thrived on the things others ignored. Just another boring day, Elias muttered, tapping the console that monitored the ship's energy readings. The screen flickered, showing decades-old readings of a seemingly dead core. He frowned. Something wasn't right. The readings were faint, almost imperceptible, but consistent. There was life, or at least some form of intelligent energy, inside the hull. "Must be a glitch," he whispered, "or some old system powering on for no reason." He ran a deep scan anyway. Nothing, or rather, nothing anyone alive would understand. The readings were ancient, older than recorded galactic history. Elias blinked at the numbers, trying to make sense of them. His fingers flew across the keyboard. He had a habit of thinking out loud. If this is real, if there's actually something inside. He didn't finish the thought. And then it happened. A voice spoke. Clear, calm, perfectly human. "Human Elias Ward, you are late. We have been waiting for your kind." Elias froze. His heart raced. He looked around the empty observation room. He checked the audio channels, the comms, the external feeds. Nothing. The voice repeated, as if coming from inside his mind and the console at the same time. "Human Elias Ward, you are late." He sat back in his chair, trying to process what had just happened. His mind ran through the possibilities. A prank? A malfunctioning AI? Some new alien tech broadcasting hallucinations? None of it fit. His training told him to be cautious. But a deeper part of him, the part that had been chasing mysteries all his life, told him this was different. "This is alive," he whispered. He stood up, grabbed his jacket, and headed for the small shuttle bay. Every instinct in his body told him to be careful, but he couldn't ignore the pull. The ship wasn't just a relic. It was calling him. The shuttle thrummed as he entered, lights reflecting off the hull's dusty surface. Elias maneuvered carefully through the station's docking bay, his eyes fixed on the massive shape floating in space. The ship was enormous, far larger than any he had seen in the salvage yards. Its design was unlike anything modern engineers could recreate. Organic curves and sharp edges merged into a structure that looked alive. It didn't just float. It breathed in a way humans could feel, even from a distance. As he approached, the voice returned. "Human Elias Ward, step aboard." Elias swallowed. He had heard enough to know that this was not a random signal. The ship knew him. Somehow, it had been waiting, watching, maybe even predicting him. That thought sent a chill down his spine. The airlock hissed as he stepped inside. The interior was dimly lit but not dark. Strange glyphs lined the walls, glowing faintly, but the glow seemed to react to his presence, brightening slightly whenever he moved. He could feel a subtle vibration under his feet, like the heartbeat of a living thing. Who made you?" he asked aloud. No answer, only the hum of energy and the soft glow of the walls. He walked deeper into the ship, his footsteps echoing. Panels flickered on as he passed, displaying data in a language he could not read, yet somehow he understood. Not in words, but in meaning. This ship was old, ancient, older than any civilization that still survived. And it had been waiting for humans. Why humans? He murmured, touching a panel. The lights pulsed under his fingers, almost like it was acknowledging him. And then, the message came again, this time in words he could read clearly on the console before him. We waited for your kind because you survive when others fail. You are late, but not too late. We need you. Elias staggered back. His mind raced. Need him? For what? What could a single human possibly do with a ship this ancient, this powerful? And why had the galaxy ignored it for centuries? He spent hours exploring, cautious but fascinated. The ship seemed endless, corridors folding and twisting in ways that defied simple physics. Rooms contained objects that hummed with stored energy, devices that could manipulate gravity, energy, and even time, but everything was inactive, waiting for him. He reached a massive chamber at the ship's center. At first he thought it was empty. Then he noticed the core, a glowing orb suspended in midair, pulsing with energy. The voice spoke again, not through the console this time, but through the room itself. Elias Ward, we have chosen you because your kind can change the course of the galaxy. Others would have failed. Elias sank to the floor. He wanted to laugh, he wanted to run, but he stayed, because he knew somehow this was his destiny, or at least the beginning of it. Minutes stretched into hours. The more he explored, the more he realized the ship was alive, not in the way a human or animal is alive, but in a deliberate, aware, and patient way. It had been drifting, ignored by all, for centuries, waiting for someone who could understand its purpose, waiting for him. Elias spent that first day, and many nights, studying the ship's systems, trying to figure out why the galaxy had abandoned it, why it had chosen him, and what it wanted him to do. Each discovery raised more questions. Energy systems older than recorded history hummed quietly. Databanks contained knowledge of civilizations long extinct. And somewhere in all of it, a plan was forming, one that only a human could complete. The first part of the message, simple yet terrifying, repeated in his mind, "We have been waiting for your kind." By the time he returned to the shuttle bay, his mind was buzzing with possibilities. He realized one thing clearly. He was no longer just a salvage engineer. He was part of something much bigger, something that could change the galaxy. The station outside was quiet, unaware of the momentous events happening just beyond its docking bay. Aliens passed by, laughing, arguing, or sleeping in their quarters. No one suspected that a human, thought weak and insignificant, had just stepped aboard a ship older than any empire in known space. Elias didn't know what would come next. But he knew this. The galaxy had ignored a treasure for centuries, and now that treasure had chosen him. And somehow, deep down, he felt that this was just the beginning. Elias Ward could hardly sleep. Back at the station, he kept replaying the memory of the ship's voice. Every time he closed his eyes, he could feel the hum of its energy. The pulse of life hidden within metal, older than any library, older than the oldest records in galactic history. He knew one thing. The ship was not ordinary. It had waited for him. Somehow, it had known he would come. By the time dawn reached the station, he had made a decision. He would return to the ship. He had questions, more than he could count, but the most pressing was simple. Why humans? Why him? The shuttle's engines hummed softly as he maneuvered through space. Outside, the stars sparkled indifferently, as if nothing mattered. But to Elias, everything mattered now. The ship had been alive, aware, and somehow intelligent. Its technology, its design, it was alive in a way humans had never seen. And it had chosen him for a purpose. He docked at the airlock with care, double-checking the seals. Inside, the ship was quiet, almost waiting. But the moment he stepped in, The corridors pulsed faintly with light, reacting to his presence. It was as if the ship recognized him as its pilot, its caretaker, its human partner. "Welcome back, Elias Ward," the voice said. This time, there was no chill. There was calm, even relief. I have questions," Elias said. He had rehearsed this in his mind countless times. Why me? Why humans? What is this ship? The ship hummed and then displayed something he had not seen before. In the center chamber, a holographic map unfolded. Stars, planets, and lines of energy formed patterns across the galaxy. Elias blinked. The map was ancient, but precise. Some of the stars were no longer visible in the current sky, and some civilizations had vanished entirely. "This," the ship said, "is the galaxy as it was before it became unstable. We were created to protect it." "Protect it from what?" Elias asked. The lights in the chamber dimmed. A new hologram appeared, showing a dark force spreading like a shadow over the stars. Entire systems vanished as a single, moving darkness devoured everything. Elias gasped. "Long ago," the ship explained, "an enemy threatened the galaxy. It could destroy civilizations before they could develop defenses. We, the Guardians, were created to stop it. But we could not act alone. The species we trusted to wield our knowledge failed. They could not survive the trials. But your kind humans, you endure." Elias swallowed. Humans had always been underestimated. Other species were stronger, faster, smarter. But humans survived. Humans adapted. Somehow, in the vast chaos of history, the ship had noticed this and waited. "You waited for humans?" he asked, disbelief heavy in his voice. "Yes," the ship replied. "We waited for someone who could act when others could not. You, Elias Ward, are our chosen. The time has come for you to learn the truth." The ship's walls shimmered, revealing ancient glyphs, symbols, and moving images. Elias stared in awe. The history of civilizations long gone, their victories, their failures, their wars, all unfolded before him. He saw species that had once dominated entire galaxies fall into ruin. And he saw humans, not prominent, not ruling, but surviving. Always surviving. "We predicted that your kind would reach the stars later than others," the ship continued. "We did not expect it so soon. But your survival proved our calculations correct. You are capable of what no other species could achieve." Elias felt a mixture of pride and fear. "And what am I supposed to do?" The ship pulsed brightly. "Learn. Understand. Lead. The galaxy faces an awakening threat. An ancient enemy, sealed beyond time, is stirring. They will not wait for preparation. They will not wait for politics. They will come, and only a species with human adaptability can face them." He swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed on his shoulders. One human against a threat older than history itself. But the ship seemed to sense his hesitation. "You are not alone," it said. "We will guide you. But action requires choice. Only a human can make the choices that matter."
Elias paced the chamber.
He had always relied on his instincts, on observation, on improvisation. That was how he survived dangerous salvage missions, how he outsmarted pirates, how he fixed things that no one else could. But leading the galaxy? This was far beyond any salvage mission he had faced. Still, he could not refuse. Somehow, deep inside, he knew humans were ready. They had always been ready. Perhaps this was the first time the galaxy noticed. For hours he explored the ship, absorbing its knowledge. He learned about the Guardians, ancient beings who had built vessels designed not just for war but for preservation. He learned about technologies that manipulated space, time, and energy in ways humans had not yet imagined. And he discovered that the ship's core, its heart, responded only to him. Alien fleets would never understand this. They tried to seize technology with brute force, with weapons and fleets. But the Guardian ship was alive. It would not obey them. It would obey him. When Elias finally returned to the shuttle bay, he realized that the galaxy would soon take notice. Aliens would try to claim the ship, to harness it for their own power, but the ship would not allow it. It had chosen a human, and no one else could command it. Back at the station, Elias faced skepticism. Officers and alien delegates crowded the observation deck, watching as he transmitted signals from the ship. They demanded control, citing treaties, laws, and protocols. But the ship ignored them. Its systems locked, its defenses online, ready to act if anyone tried to seize it. "Why does it obey you?" a high-ranking alien officer demanded. His voice was sharp, frustrated. Elias shrugged. "I don't know. I think it chose me," the alien snorted. "Chosen?
By a machine? By some ancient relic?
You are human. Weak, fragile, and slow. You cannot hope to control it." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe, but humans survive. We adapt. And maybe that's exactly what this ship needs." That night, alone in his quarters, he reviewed the data again. The threat was real. The enemy was awakening. The galaxy was unprepared, and he was the one who could face it. He thought about the people of Earth, his home, his friends, his species. Humans were often underestimated, overlooked, and even mocked by stronger species. But this ship had seen the truth. Humans endured when others fell. Humans thrived when others failed. The words of the ship echoed in his mind. "We waited for your kind because you survive when others fail." For the first time, Elias understood the weight of his role. He was not just a salvage engineer. He was the first human to be entrusted with the knowledge and power of the Guardians, and the galaxy, whether it knew it or not, was about to change forever. He returned to the ship once more. Its core pulsed gently, like a living heart. The corridors seemed to recognize him, lights brightening as he passed. And then, for the first time, the ship allowed him to access a deeper chamber, a room filled with maps, weapons, and strategies of civilizations long gone. "You will need these," the ship said, "and you will need your instincts. Humans think differently. You can see patterns that others cannot. That is why we chose you." Elias nodded. The responsibility was immense, but for the first time, he felt ready. Humans had always been underestimated. Perhaps that was their greatest advantage. The galaxy would soon see it too. The night passed quickly. By morning, Elias had made his decision. He would train, learn, and prepare. The ancient enemy would awaken, and the galaxy would need humans more than ever. And one thing was certain: no one, not alien fleets, not galactic councils, not even history itself, would stop a human chosen by an ancient, intelligent ship. Elias Ward was no longer just a man. He was the galaxy's first line of defense, a human who carried the hopes of his species in the hull of a ship older than time. And the true test had only just begun. The galaxy was buzzing, but not with excitement. It was buzzing with fear. News that a human controlled an ancient powerful ship older than any known civilization spread faster than any fleet could travel. Alien leaders demanded answers. Military commanders mobilized fleets. News stations broadcast warnings. And in the center of it all was Elias Ward. Elias stood on the observation deck of the station, watching tiny holographic representations of ships move across the sector map. Hundreds of fleets, hundreds of worlds, all turning toward him. Some sent messages demanding control. Some offered allegiance. Some threatened annihilation. But the ship, the Guardian ship, did not respond to anyone but him.
"It's insane," muttered Commander Rin, a sharp-eyed alien who had reluctantly been assigned to watch Elias. "Do you understand what this means?"
You, human, are the center of the galaxy's attention. Every major species is watching you. Every fleet is ready to strike if you make a mistake. Elias rubbed his temple. "I didn't choose this." "No," Ryan said, his voice calm but hard. "But it chose you. And now the galaxy believes you could destroy it. Or save it. Don't let them see the first." The words made Elias shiver. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. And now they were at the center of everything. One misstep could ignite war. One wrong decision could cost billions of lives. And yet, he felt a strange certainty. Humans survived, even in the worst circumstances. Maybe that certainty was the first tool he had in this galaxy full of threats. Before he could think further, alarms rang. The Guardian ship had activated. Holographic screens lit up, showing energy surges along the hull, defensive shields activating, and strange, swirling patterns of light forming above the ship. Alien fleets in the sector froze in confusion. Weapons that had fired countless times against the galaxy's enemies now malfunctioned against the ship's unpredictable technology. Alias leaned over the console. "What? What's happening?" "The ship is aware of the fleets approaching," the voice said. "Calm. Certain. It will not allow unauthorized access. Any attempt to seize it will fail." Ryan's mandibles clicked nervously. "You really are in control? Do you understand what that means?" Elias nodded slowly. "I think so. It listens to me. It reacts to me. And it's alive." Across the galaxy, panic spread. Several species tried to send commands or signals attempting to hack the Guardian ship, but it ignored them completely. Small skirmishes broke out in orbit, with alien drones attempting to block the ship. Each effort failed. Drones vanished, shields overloaded, and weapons bounced harmlessly off invisible barriers. "Humans," Ryan muttered, almost reverently. "They survive even when all logic says they shouldn't. It's remarkable." Elias felt a chill. Remarkable, yes, but dangerous. Every moment spent under scrutiny could spark war. Every small misstep could trigger retaliation. And yet, he could feel the ship's confidence in him, its pulse syncing with his own. It was teaching him control. It was preparing him. The first real test came quickly. A fleet of alien warships, larger than any Elias had ever seen, emerged from hyperspace surrounding the station. Their leaders demanded the immediate surrender of the Guardian ship. "We give you 3 cycles to comply," the holographic commander's voice boomed. "After that, we take what is ours." Elias pressed his fingers to the console, feeling the ship respond to his uncertainty and fear. It hummed gently, as if reassuring him. Then, with a sudden surge, the ship extended invisible energy fields, forming a barrier that dwarfed the alien fleet's weapons. Energy arcs danced across space, visible even from the station. The fleet fired. Nothing hit the ship. Nothing even came close. "Impossible," the commander growled. "It should be destroyed." Elias said nothing. He only listened to the ship. It whispered instructions in subtle pulses he could feel through the console. He realized the ship was giving him choices, not commands, just options. It trusted him to act. "Prepare the decoys," Elias said finally, his voice steady. "Draw them in. Don't let them see our true strength yet." Rin's eyes widened. "You're improvising? Without a single precedent?" Elias shrugged. "Humans survive by improvising, that's all I know." Minutes later, alien warships pursued holographic decoys while the Guardian ship slipped unseen through space, moving in patterns no alien fleet could predict. Each step, each maneuver, relied not on raw power but on human decision-making. And instead, aliens had technology far beyond humans, but humans saw patterns others couldn't. Humans adapted. Humans survived. The fleet finally realized their mistake when their own ships collided, firing on each other in confusion. The Guardian ship appeared above them silently, shields glowing. Elias sent a simple message: "Leave now." The fleet hesitated. Then, after a long moment, retreated. They did not attack again. Not today. Ryan turned to him, voice filled with awe. "You did it. A human, and yet the galaxy obeyed."
Elias didn't feel pride. He felt weight.
The galaxy was vast. This battle was small. The enemy the ship had warned him about had not yet arrived, and he realized the truth. Survival was only the first step. Humans could endure, but could they lead? Could they face the awakening ancient enemy that the ship had spoken of? He spent the next cycle studying the ship's archives, absorbing strategies, defensive systems, and star maps of extinct civilizations. He learned about fleets that had risen and fallen, wars that had ended entire species, and technologies so advanced that they seemed magical. And all the while he trained, not just in maneuvering the ship, but in leadership, decision-making, anticipating threats the galaxy didn't even know existed. The station grew crowded with alien delegations, curious and fearful. Some offered alliance, some demanded obedience, and all were ignored. The guardianship responded only to Elias, only he could command it. And that gave him power, not domination, but leverage. Power to protect, power to survive, power to act when others failed. One night, Elias stood alone in the observation chamber, staring at the stars. He thought of Earth, of humans who had survived impossible odds, who had thrived against stronger species, against impossible environments. He understood now why the ship had chosen a human. Strength, speed, or intelligence alone could not succeed. Only adaptability, creativity, and instinct could meet the challenge ahead. A message pulsed in the core, not words, not commands, a feeling. The ship sensed the awakening threat. Its presence was approaching, slowly but inevitably, and Elias realized something terrifying. The galaxy would not help him. Alien fleets were unprepared. They would panic, retreat, or fight wrongly. Only he, and the humans he represented, could face what was coming. He turned to Rin, who had been quietly observing. "We need to prepare, not for the fleets around us, but for what's coming." "The ship warned me." Rain nodded slowly. "Then we follow you, human. But remember, every species out there thinks they know the future. They don't, and they will react badly when the real threat appears." Elias felt the weight settle fully on his shoulders. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. And now, he realized, that was their advantage. The galaxy thought it knew what to expect. But humans acted differently. Humans survived. Humans improvised. Humans adapted. And if the ancient enemy had underestimated humans, it would be a mistake it would not survive. The guardianship hummed softly, its energy pulsing through the station, responding to Elias's presence. It was alive, aware, and ready. And for the first time, Elias felt the true meaning of the ship's message. "We waited for your kind because you survive when others fail." He smiled faintly, not in triumph but in determination. The galaxy had turned against him. Fleets doubted him. Governments feared him, and yet he was not afraid. Humans survived impossible odds. Humans endured. And now, humans had a chance to show the galaxy what they could do. The true battle, the one that would test all his instincts, all his choices, all the survival skills humans had honed for millennia, was only just beginning. And Elias Ward was ready. The stars were silent that day, but Elias Ward could feel the tension vibrating through the galaxy. Reports flooded the guardianship's consoles. Strange energy distortions, entire systems vanishing, and signals from the ancient enemy waking from its long slumber. The ship pulsed in anticipation, its corridors glowing faintly, as if alive and aware of the approaching danger. Elias stood at the helm, hands gripping the console, eyes scanning readings he barely understood yet somehow trusted. Around him, Ryan and a small crew of allied aliens prepared for the battle of their lives. The galaxy had already turned against him, but now it would be irrelevant. The enemy did not care about politics, fleets, or treaties. It cared only for destruction. The first sign appeared as a ripple across hyperspace. Entire star systems flickered, disappearing as the enemy advanced. It moved with a precision that no fleet could match, and a force that no weapon could stop. Sensors showed massive energy waves distorting space itself, twisting reality around its path. "Elias," Ryan said, voice tense. We have no fleets close enough to block it. If it reaches populated systems, Elias nodded. Then it won't. We'll stop it here. The Guardian ship hummed in response, almost like a heartbeat synchronizing with his own. Elias realized something he had not fully understood until now. The ship did not just act on instinct. It needed him. Not as a pilot, but as a strategist, a leader, a human mind capable of improvisation. The alien enemy emerged from the distortions in full form. It was massive, a shadow moving across the stars composed of energy and metal, impossible to comprehend fully. Its fleets, if they could be called that, were extensions of itself. Each vessel operated with terrifying coordination, overwhelming systems before they even fired. Stay calm, Elias said to Ryan and the crew. We fight smart, not hard. He activated the Guardian ship's defenses. Shields formed in complex patterns, rotating, shifting, and reflecting energy attacks in ways that defied alien understanding. Weapons charged not with firepower but with energy pulses that bent space itself. And then he made his first move, one no alien fleet would have considered. Divert energy to auxiliary cores, he instructed, and fire pulses to create decoy signatures ahead of us. Draw it into traps it won't see. Ryan stared. You're improvising. You're thinking differently than anyone else would. Exactly, Elias said. That's why we survive. The Guardian ship surged forward, moving in unpredictable arcs. The enemy adjusted, recalculating, striking at the decoys, only to find empty space. Every step, every decision relied on Elias's instincts, honed from years of survival against impossible odds. He was not the fastest, he was not the strongest, but he adapted, and that made him deadly. As the battle escalated, alien fleets tried to intervene. They attacked, hoping to gain favor or salvage power. But the Guardian ship, following Elias's lead, protected not only itself but the humans and allies nearby. The enemy's focus remained on the unpredictable movements of Elias and the ship. Hours passed in a blur of energy pulses, shield flares, and impossible maneuvers. Then came the moment Elias had been preparing for, a direct strike on the enemy's core. The Guardian ship extended energy tendrils wrapping around the enemy's central structure, analyzing, probing, learning. The ship spoke in pulses, sending information directly into his mind. It is vulnerable to creativity, to unpredictability. Use your instincts. Elias understood. He had learned strategies from extinct civilizations. He had watched alien fleets fail in simulations, and he had felt the patterns no machine could calculate. And now he would act. He gave the command, synchronize all cores, fire on my mark, but vary the frequency. Unpredictable, randomized, yet precise. The ship responded instantly, energy flares lighting the darkness of space. The enemy recoiled, its own systems unable to adjust to human unpredictability. For the first time in millennia, the ancient force faltered. Rin and the crew watched in awe. It's retreating, Rin whispered. Elias shook his head. Not yet. We press forward. No hesitation. They dove into the heart of the enemy formation. The Guardian ship, guided by Elias's instincts, struck with precision, dismantling key structures and disabling control nodes. Alien allies could only watch, their advanced fleets overwhelmed not by firepower but by ingenuity. And then, in a final moment of clarity, Elias realized the true power of the ship. It was not the shields, the weapons, or even the ancient knowledge. It was the bond between human and machine, the ability to decide, adapt, and survive where logic failed. He closed his eyes briefly and made a single choice: to attack the enemy's core directly, risking the ship and himself. The Guardian ship responded instantly, enveloping the core in layers of energy, pulsing with every decision Elias made. The enemy shrieked across space, a soundless vibration felt in the bones of every nearby vessel, and then, in a blinding flash, it collapsed. Systems everywhere failed. Energy distorted and disappeared. And finally, silence. Elias opened his eyes. The ship floated in the center of the battlefield, fully intact. Alien fleets cautiously approached, scanning and recording. They had survived, not because of raw power, not because of technology, but because of a single human's instincts. Rhine stepped forward, mandibles clicking in disbelief. You did it. Humans, you. Elias smiled faintly. Humans survive when others fail, and sometimes we lead. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. The ancient enemy was defeated. Entire civilizations had been saved, not by fleets, not by weapons, but by a human's courage, decision-making, and willingness to act when all others hesitated. The Guardian ship, now fully awakened, pulsed softly, its energy flowing freely. It no longer needed to hide, no longer needed to wait. Its knowledge, its power, and its understanding of the galaxy were complete. And before departing for the unknown reaches of space, it sent a message across all frequencies. Humanity has arrived. Not to conquer, but to endure. Not to dominate, but to protect. The galaxy remembers now what your kind can do. Elias returned to the station, changed. He had faced the impossible and survived. He had led the Guardian ship to victory, and in doing so, he had shown the galaxy the strength of humans, not in weapons, not in fleets, but in their ability to survive, adapt, and act when others could not. Round approached him quietly.
You know, this changes everything.
The galaxy will never see humans the same way again. Elias nodded. They'll respect us now. Not for power, but for resolve, for endurance, for the ability to survive and make choices no one else can. And as he looked at the stars, he realized something profound. Humans had always been underestimated. But now, they were remembered. The galaxy had seen what a single human could do, and what a species that survives against all odds could achieve. The Guardian ship hummed, fading slowly into the distance, its mission complete. But for Elias, and for humanity, this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and wonders, and humans, underestimated yet unbroken, would face it all, because humans endured. Humans adapted. Humans survived. And now, humanity's true legacy was written across the stars.